This audio is brought to you by Muslim Central. Please consider donating to help cover our running costs and future projects by visiting www.muslimcentral.com/donate.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah. My respected brothers and my sisters in Islam, the very last Muslim ruler to ever rule over Spain was a man by the name of Al-Asghar, Muhammed bin Abdullah Al-Asghar. And wallahi, as the scholars have said, he was Al-Asghar. He was the small one, the little one, the belittled one. How could he ever hand over the keys of Andalus to the non-Muslims? So as Muhammad bin Abdullah Al-Asghar was handing over the keys of Spain, listen to this is a very amazing statement. As he was handing over the keys of Spain to Ferdinand and Isabella, who were going to now take over Spain and destroy every effigy, every single face of Islam from that country, as he was handing it over, and as he traveled in his chariot, going across the plains, the beautiful cities of Spain, he cried and cried and cried. They said that the man kept on crying until his mother, who looked at him in the same chariot, said something to him that stopped his crying forever. What did she say? She said, "You cry like a woman over a city and a country that you are not man enough to protect." Ya salam. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, this is the state of the Muslim Ummah today. The state of the Muslim Ummah today is that we cry and cry and cry like children over an Ummah we are not men and women enough to protect. We cry and cry over Syria. We cry and cry over Palestine. We cry and cry about all of the things that are happening to this Ummah by Allah. Yet we don't remember that simple advice that I had read in the books of Dr. Seuss. Do you know Dr. Seuss? Dr. Seuss, you know him? Alhamdulillah, I'm glad you know him, because he's a really intelligent cat. Dr. Seuss is a cat that comes out of a hat. Very, very, have you seen him? You shouldn't have seen him, it's not real. But Dr. Seuss, these books are really amazing. And there was a statement that I remember reading as a child. Do you know what he said? He said, "I say, old chap, you have brains in your head, you have shoes on your feet, you can go wherever you please." That's it. He said, "You have brains in your head, you have shoes on your feet, you can go wherever you want." So what's stopping us? What is stopping the average Muslim brother and sister out there that Allah has endowed with the most amazing intelligence and the most amazing abilities from going out there and plotting in order to save this ummah by Allah? Nothing by Allah except this perceived inability that we have unfortunately gotten ourselves into. My brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not simply the last and final messenger. He was the greatest visionary that this dunya had ever seen. The Prophet ﷺ was so great a visionary that he fulfilled the legacy of every true visionary. Do you know what the legacy is? The legacy of every true visionary is that he would die before his vision would be fulfilled. It is the destiny of every great man. It is the destiny of every single great man that has ever walked on this earth, to die before his dreams were ever fulfilled. And by Allah, the Prophet ﷺ was one of them. The Prophet ﷺ, when the Quraysh came and told him, "Ya Muhammad ﷺ, come, let us make you our king, and you worship our God and we worship your God." What did he say? He said, "By Allah, if you put the moon in my right hand and the sun in my left, I would not stop calling to this religion for a single day." These are not words of a man who is after politics and power. These are not the words of a man who wants kingdom and glory. These are the words of a man who knows clearly why he has been sent on this earth. These are the words of a man who knows exactly what he wants to achieve in this dunya. Have you seen our Prophet ﷺ in the time of Tabuk when he was pelted with, in the time of Ta'if when he was pelted with stones? What did he say? What did the Prophet ﷺ say? Did he want the mountain, the angel of the mountains to crush them between the two mountains? No, he made a simple request. What was the simple dua that he made? Ya Allah, I wish that there will be a people that will come after them that will follow your deen. And by Allah, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah quotes no less than 890 scholars that came from Ta'if. 890 ulama of Islam since the time, until the time of Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that came from Ta'if. And this is from the barakah and the vision of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when his wives asked him for some wealth and for some provisions, what did he do? What did he do? He gave them a choice. Either choose me and choose the way of Allah and choose this vision for which I have been sent. Otherwise, by Allah, you can go back and divorce yourself from me. And I've given you that choice. So he gave them 1 month to make up their minds. My brothers and sisters in Islam, these are not the acts of a man who wants 12 wives in his life. These are the words of a man who married these women to fulfill a vision that he had by Allah. My brothers and sisters, once Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he was lying down on a pile of scraps that were taken from the barks of the palm tree. Scraps of wood that were taken from the palms of the trees. And he was lying down and he had marks on his body as any one of us would have. So Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu looked at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he cried at that point. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looked at Umar and said, Ya Umar, Ya Ibn al-Khattab. He called him, Ya Ibn al-Khattab, Hal anta fi shakkin Ya Ibn al-Khattab? Or Ibn al-Khattab, do you have any doubt in your mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me the Prophet of God, that He will fulfill my wish? You have any doubt at all? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, my brothers and sisters in Islam, was a man of tremendous vision. A man with tremendous vision. A man who had tremendous basira. He had an ultimate vision that he shared with all of his Sahaba. What did he say? He said, زُوِيَ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ فَرَأَيْتُ مَشَارِقَهَا وَمَغَارِبَهَا وَأَنَّ أُمَّتِي سَيَبْلُغُهَا. Verily the earth was made a plain in front of me. So I saw the east and I saw the west, and I saw that my ummah will reach every part of it. My ummah will reach every part of it. In the Battle of Khandaq. Does anyone remember the Battle of Khandaq? Does anyone remember the Battle of Khandaq? Yes. What happened in the Battle of Khandaq? In the Battle of Khandaq, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam got down into the Khandaq. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to a group of the Sahaba that were finding it very difficult to break down this fat boulder, this huge boulder that was in front of them. Everyone gave it a go. Umar radiallahu anhu gave it a go. Every Sahabi gave it a go, until it was left to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to try. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam got down. He took his axe and he hit it once and light came out. What did he say? Do you know what he said? He said, Allahu Akbar, Rome is yours. Then he hit the boulder again with his axe. And then light came out again. What did he say? He said, Allahu Akbar, Persia is yours. And he hit the boulder again. And what did he say? Allahu Akbar, Sham is yours. Can you see the words of the visionary prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? He is not simply talking about the future and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him from the knowledge of the unseen. Here Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is talking about the vision of a visionary. The fact that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had a tremendous vision, and his vision was going to be achieved by Allah. You know, if you read about business these days, they talk about the fact that whenever businesses are in trouble, whenever GE is in trouble, whenever Ford is in trouble, whenever GMC is in trouble, whenever any large company is in trouble, do you know what the CEO does? The CEO doesn't talk about the problems. he talks about the vision of the company first. He unites the people under a vision. He brings the people together under the same purpose for why they were here in the first place. This is the essence of leadership. The essence of leadership, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is to have a vision. Do you know that the Prophet ﷺ, before he passed away, he set up different mawaqit and miqats, which are the places that people do ihram from when they want to go for Hajj and Umrah. Do you know that he put the miqat of Ahl al-Sham at that time? Ahl al-Sham. What was the miqat of Ahl al-Sham? Juhfa. Why was there a miqat of Ahl al-Sham? There wasn't Ahl al-Sham anymore. The Ahl al-Sham hadn't accepted Islam yet. They were all Christians. He put a miqat for the people of Yemen. Why? When there weren't any Muslims there. So the Prophet ﷺ set up the miqat. The Prophet ﷺ set up the miqat Ahl al-Sham at that time when there was no Muslims in Sham to our knowledge at that time. And the Prophet ﷺ set up Yalamlam as a miqat of the people of Yemen. Why was there? I mean, how many Muslims were there? Hardly a few Muslims at that time. The Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu had converted to Islam. Only a few Muslims. But he set up a whole miqat for them. Why? Because he knew, and he knew his Sahaba would then focus on converting the people of Yemen. He set up mawaqit for the people of Persia as well. Why did he do that? In the same way, because the Prophet ﷺ knew, and this is the act of a visionary. The Prophet ﷺ knew that when you do these sort of things, you direct your focus and your people towards them. Do you know in the Battle of Qadisiyah, it was reported that Rustum saw in his dream, Rustum was the main general, and the Qadisiyah battle was a battle where the Muslims, where only 7,000 Muslims fought nearly 240,000 Persian soldiers and won the battle after 21 days of fighting. Do you know this battle that Rustum was the main general at that time? He saw in his dream that the Muslims would win the battle, so he tried to delay the war as much as possible. Do you know, my brothers and sisters in Islam, that Rustum asked for people to come and talk to him from the messengers of the Muslims again and again for almost 3 to 4 days, one after the other after the other. In fact, when he called one of the Sahaba, Mughira ibn Shu'bah, Rustum asked him, Ya Mughira, why is it that you Arabs have come to fight the greatest army that this world has ever seen? Why have you come to fight us? So what did Mughira ibn Shu'bah say? He said, our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, before he passed away, he told us to focus on you guys. He told us to focus on you guys. And also Allah says in the Quran, وَقَاتِلُوا الَّذِينَ يَلُونَكُمْ مِنَ الْكُفَّارِ وَلَا يَجِدُوا فِيكُمْ غِلْظَةً. And fight those that are next to you, that are neighboring you from the countries of the disbelievers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a clear directive. The point I'm trying to make, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a man of true vision. He had his ultimate vision. By Allah, not a single house of mortar or brick or clay, except that Islam will enter into it by Allah. The ultimate vision of the Prophet ﷺ was very clear. And he had a 25-year vision. What was his 25-year vision before he passed away? Very clear. Oh, Rome is yours. Persia is yours. Constantinople is yours. This is the vision of the Prophet ﷺ in 25 years. He had a 10-year vision too. What was he going to achieve in 10 years? Oh Allah, give us Makkah. Oh Allah, give us Makkah. Countless ahadith. In fact, if you find the number of ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about asking Allah for Makkah and Makkah and Makkah, which basically means he was focusing everyone's attention on Makkah. Do you know how many hadith there are? Almost 75 hadith of the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, the books of Sunnah. Oh Allah, give us Makkah. Oh Allah, give us back Makkah. Oh Allah, give us back Makkah. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, the point I'm trying to raise to you all today is, by Allah, the Prophet ﷺ was a man of true vision. But how far are we from being like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How far are we from being like Muhammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do you know, many years back, I went and I made a survey of Islamic organizations in some countries that I was visiting at that time. So I decided to ask all the leaders of Islamic organizations a simple question. What's your vision? What's your vision? What do you want to achieve in the next 10 years? Or ultimately, what do you want to achieve ultimately with your organization that you have founded? Do you know what they told me? Each and every one of them had no clear idea what they wanted to achieve with their organization. They simply would see any other organization out there and they would simply try and imitate. They would see X and Y, Z organization having a function, so they come together and say, let's also have a function. They see X, Y, Z organization launching a sister shelter, why don't we launch a sister shelter too? They see an X, Y, Z organization holding a conference, let's launch a conference as well. They see X, Y, Z organization starting a TV channel, you know what, that's a great idea, why don't we think of that ourselves? And they see someone else launching a youth center, and they say, absolutely, youth, that's our priority. Is that how they started? Is this how visions are meant to be created? Is this how we are meant to be working? But Allah, this is not the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He never imitated people. He never wanted to follow people. He had a clear path and a clear vision towards which he was working towards every single moment of his life. My brothers and sisters in Islam, if we have no clear plan of where we want to go, by Allah, it is the same as someone getting into the car and people asking him, where do you want to go? And the driver says, by Allah, I have the faintest idea. So why are you driving then? Why are you driving the car when you don't know where you want to go? And this is the state of the vast majority of the Muslims today. Or the state of the vast majority of the Muslims today is that they get into the car and they drive, but not looking forward. They drive whilst looking into the rear view mirror. That's all they look at. They look into the rear view mirror all the time, and eventually, of course, someone who drives only concentrating on the past. By the rear view mirror, I mean the past, concentrating on what you have done before and not what you want to do in the future, you eventually end up having an accident. My brothers and sisters in Islam, if we do not have a good plan for good health, that in itself is a good plan for bad health. If we always do what we've always done, we will always get what we always got. In fact, Albert Einstein, he said in an amazing statement, he said the definition of insanity, he said the definition of insanity is to do the same thing, right, in the same way and expect different results. And this is precisely what the Ummah is doing today. We do the same thing in the same way and we expect different results. My brothers and sisters in Islam, we are only here today because we did not plan any better. The Ummah is only here today because it did not have a better vision. We only are here today because we plan to be here today. And the only way we plan to be here today is because we did not plan any better. Had we planned better, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful, would have taken us to a far better situation than where the Ummah is today. I ask you this important question, and I ask you to pay attention to this point. If you have no vision for your life, if you as all the students of this beautiful university have no vision for your life, then guess what? Someone else has a vision for your life. Someone else already knows what you should be doing. The government knows what you should be doing. Your enemies has a vision for you. Even your wife has a vision for you. I mean, you're not married. So your family has a vision for you. Okay? The whole point is, if you don't know where you want to go, someone else already does. And someone else is already pushing you towards that. Do you know how many students come to me and ask me this question? Brother, I feel like I really want to study Islam, but then my mom wants me to do engineering, and then, by the way, I need to get married. So what should I be doing? Engineering or Islam or marriage? Do you know what my answer is? How should I know? My answer is not the typical answer. My answer is very simple. How should I know the answer to this? You should know the answer to this even before you ask me this question. Because the whole problem is that you don't know where you want to do, where you want to go. Where do you want your life to end up? What do you want to achieve with your life? When you are unclear about this question, brothers and sisters in Islam, that is precisely why we end up in no man's land. Where we end up in doing something that we don't want to do. A few days ago I was in Dubai, and I was in a medical college of about 300 students of medicine, all studying to be doctors, and I asked them this simple question. And I ask you all the simple question again. Which day does classes start here? Mondays? Mondays? Right. Hands up. How many of you love Mondays? We love Monday. I can't wait for Monday. Wow, it's the first day of class. I love going to class. I can't wait. How many of you? See, if there are teachers in our audience, they should just look. Can you see how few people actually love what they're doing? Okay? Why? If this is your life call, if this is what you should be doing with your life, if this is precisely your vision, why aren't you jumping and laughing and just going, yeah, I can't wait, I wish every day was Monday? How many of us says the best day of the week is Friday? Everyone. Why is that the case? Because we don't have to come to school anymore. We don't have to go to work anymore. Do you understand? This is not just a joke, this is reality. It's truth. If we really did what we always should be doing with our heart and our soul and our life, by Allah, we would love to do this work. Do you know when you do what you love, you get engrossed in it. When you do what you love, you lose track of time. When you do what you should be doing, what you've been created to do, by Allah, you are so engrossed in it, you lose track of time. Frequently my wife will tell me, you told me you'll come back in 2 hours. Wallahi, I know, but I lose track of time when I go to Mercy Mission. Do you know why? Because this is my life. This is my life. I know this is my life because I lose track of time. I have sleepless nights, not because of worry, but because of pure passion and love for it. How many of us dread sleepless nights simply because by Allah we're doing something we don't really want to do? How many of us are living someone else's dream, someone else's vision? Why don't we live our own vision and our own dream? My brothers and sisters in Islam, the Prophet ﷺ said in authentic hadith, he said, كُلٌّ مُيَسَّرٌ لِمَا خُلِقَ لَهُ. Remember this hadith, it's in Bukhari. Authentic hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ in Bukhari. This changed my life. This hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ. What did he say? He said, كُلٌّ مُيَسَّرٌ لِمَا خُلِقَ لَهُ. Everyone is helped for the purpose that they have been created for. Everyone is helped for the purpose that they have been created for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a specific purpose why He created you. Allah has a specific purpose why He created you. Yes, in general we know why Allah created us. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We all know that. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a specific purpose why He created us. He created us for a specific reason. Why did Allah create you in this body as a human being, as a male, in the 21st century, living in Malaysia, to this family? Why? There must be an answer to this question. Because Allah does not create anything abatha. Allah doesn't create anything playfully in jest. He has a beautiful purpose behind each one of us. He created each one of us with a clear reason. Clear reason. Have you thought about why Allah created you? Have you thought about what you should be doing in this dunya before you die? Do you know from life experience? You can ask anyone. When someone does what they should be doing with their life, by Allah, Allah's help comes to them. And money follows wherever they are. Money follows wherever they are. As our Shaykh used to tell us, Tawfiq, do what you love, money will follow. Do what you love, money will follow. Money is subservient to us. We are not subservient to it. We don't have to do anything for money. Money will follow us if we follow our passion and our purpose for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for. And Allah created every single Sahaba for a different cause. He created Aisha radiallahu anha as a peace and a mercy and as a preserver of the secrets of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He created Abu Hurairah to transmit the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to us. He created Umar to lead the ummah. He created Abu Bakr to be a mercy upon this ummah. He created Khalid bin Walid to be the greatest general this ummah has ever seen. Every one of us has a clear purpose for which Allah has created us. So what is the reason you have been created? What were you sent down in this dunya to fulfill? You must answer this question before it is too late. My brothers and sisters in Islam, do you know why we fail? We fail, each one of us, to follow our purpose and our vision in life. Do you know why? It's simple. It's something called fear. We are far too afraid. We're far too afraid of anything. We're far too afraid that if we follow our passion, money will not come to us. We're far too afraid that we follow our passion and our dream, then by Allah, who is going to pay for the bills? Who's going to pay for my rent? Who's going to pay for my school, or my kids' schools? Who's going to pay for the petrol of the car? Fear by Allah is the greatest tragedy of this ummah. The greatest emotion, my brothers and sisters, that stops all of us from doing what we should be doing with our lives is fear. Because we are far too afraid. We're far too afraid of anything. So we say no. The first thing that comes to our mind is no. The first thing that comes to your mind is to belittle someone who wants to do something. You know, the greatest problem amongst the Muslims is this thing called the tall poppy syndrome. Do you know what the tall poppy syndrome is? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's an Australian saying. We say in Australia the tall poppy syndrome is, imagine you have all these poppies meaning those beautiful, new, fresh flowers. Have you seen a bed of beautiful flowers? Huge, beautiful flowers. Now, isn't it really bad when one of them sticks out? When one of them just grows faster than the others, what do you feel like doing? You feel like chopping that thing off, don't you? Don't you feel like chopping that off? And saying, everything's perfectly the same. We don't want any one of them to stick out. And this is the tall poppy syndrome in Muslims these days. We don't want any one of us to excel too much. What do you mean? What do you mean you want to leave your work? What? How are you going to leave your work and start a business and then do this and that? What do you mean you want to leave your studies? And do what? Islam? It's not going to pay your bills. I mean, what do you mean you're going to leave this country and go somewhere else and set up your life somewhere else because your passion is to do this and dawah and whatever else? What do you mean? Who lives in Malaysia, I was told? You know, it's amazing. People told me, how could you leave Australia and go to Malaysia? Who goes there? You know, I don't know what to say. Precisely how people are. The tall poppy syndrome. No one. People do not like people to stand out. People don't like others to excel. And unfortunately, this is what stops most of us, the vast majority of us, from doing anything extraordinary. That is why we say our kids have to go to the classical schools and they finish till year 12 and then have a degree right after it, and then after that get a job and then find a girl and then get married and then take a nice Islamic home on ijara and then find another nice car on Honda Odyssey or something on ijara, and then thereafter, this is the Muslim dream. This is the Muslim dream, right? This is it. This is our dream. By Allah, is this the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's not. To pray and fast and go to sleep is not the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the religion that our enemies want for us. This is the religion that the enemies of Islam want for us. Our religion is to pray and fast and to spend our life for the cause of this religion from the day we have been born until the day we die, by Allah. This is the vision of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The vision of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the madrasa of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was to leave behind the people that were visionaries. And that's precisely what he did. He left behind the Sahaba that spread Islam faster than anything else. The only thing that spread faster than Islam were the Mongols, it was said. But they did it also by proclaiming Islam, apparently. My brothers and sisters in Islam, nothing in this world can give you clarity in your life before you pass away than to listen to what I'm saying today about this point of having a vision for your life. If you are feeling empty, if you're feeling like you are endlessly pursuing something you don't really love, If you're feeling like you're doing something with your life that by Allah has very little meaning. If you feel by Allah closed up in a cage, then liberate yourselves and come back to the vision of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran tells us to have great vision. He tells us about the people of great vision. He tells us by Allah again and again to be like the greatest of the heroes of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ also told us in the authentic hadith to also have the highest of visions and highest of aspirations. In the authentic hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا سَأَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ الْجَنَّةَ فَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ الْفِرْدَوْسَ فَإِنَّ أَعْلَى. If you ask Allah for Jannah, they love interrupting me in this class. If you ask Allah for Jannah, then ask Allah for Al-Firdaus, for it is the highest part of Jannah and the most middle part of Jannah. Why, Ya Rasulullah? Why, when we have a vision, should we aspire the highest? Because this is precisely what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. In the authentic hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has never ever told us to seek anything except the best of it. In fact, a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to ask you for something. So the Prophet said, ask. He said, I ask you, O Rasulullah, to be your companion in Jannah. What did the Prophet say? That's too high. That's too high, young man. That's only for Abu Bakr. That's only for Allah. Didn't he say that? No, he didn't. What did he say? Then help me, he said. Help me bi kathrat as-sujud, by praying Allah and prostrating to Allah. That's it. Now, brothers and sisters in Islam, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted each and every one of us to aspire greatness. In fact, this ummah was made for this. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas. What does this verse really mean? Ibn Abbas said in the tafsir of this verse, in authentic narration, in Tabari and others, he said, you are the best of nations made to lead other nations. So we have been made to lead other nations. We have been made to show them the path. We have been made to show others how to lead this dunya and this life. In the verses in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the same thing. First He tells us about Jannah and how beautiful Jannah is and how vast Jannah is. Then what does Allah say after it? وَلِمِثْلِ ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. And for the example of this paradise, let the competitors compete. What does it mean? It means aspire the highest of Jannah, the greatest of the hereafter. Aspire to be the best that you can ever achieve in this dunya. In the authentic hadith in Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ said, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ إِمْرِئٍ عَرَفَ قَدْرَهُ. He said what? May Allah have mercy on a man who knows his limits. This is the worst translation I've ever found of this hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ. You know how they're the classical poor translations? This is one of those classical poor translations. Right? The big bloopers of translation is how this hadith is misunderstood. Rasulullah ﷺ said, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ إِمْرِئٍ عَرَفَ قَدْرَهُ. Means what? May Allah have mercy on a man who knows his qadr, meaning his ability. It is not limits that Allah is talking about. Allah is talking about the amazing amount of his limits, the greatness of his abilities. This is what Rasulullah is talking about. In fact, the Sahaba understood this verse to mean that. So the proper translation of this hadith is, may Allah have mercy on the individual who knows the greatness of his limits, and so he excels and he continues to do more and more and more. This is the person Allah has mercy on, not the person who knows, oh, I'm a simple human being, I can't do too much, I can only look after one person, and I'll help one orphan, and I'll pray and fast, and that's enough for me. قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ مَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. What do you mean قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ مَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ? We blame qadr for our act, for a lack of activity. We blame qadr instead of ourselves, and we say, it's all qadr. Is it qadr? It's not qadr at all, it is our inactivity. Do you know what Allama Iqbal had said? Allama Iqbal, a great poet in Pakistan, who was very secular and then he became very religious towards the end of his life. And he wrote beautiful poetry about Islam. He said, and by Allah, I wish I could quote it in Urdu because it is so beautiful. Allama Iqbal said, the people, listen to this is amazing, it should be written in gold. And if anything by Allah, it should be written up here and posted up here on the walls of this university. Listen to this statement of Allama Iqbal. He said, the men and women who lack a purpose and a vision in their life, then they are led by the qadr of Allah. If the qadr of Allah takes them this way, they go this way. They go that way, they go that way. Right? They are led by the qadr of Allah. But the men of purpose and the men of vision and the women of purpose and the women of vision, they are the qadr of Allah on this earth. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Was it Salahuddin Ayyubi the qadr of Allah on this earth? Was it Khalid bin Walid the qadr of Allah on this earth? Was it Umar bin Khattab the qadr of Allah on this earth? Now ask yourself, are you the qadr of Allah on this earth? Or are you just led by the qadr of Allah? Are you simply led by the qadr of Allah, not knowing what to do? So qadr of Allah pushes you this way, your circumstances push you that way, and you go that way. Do you struggle against it? Do you struggle to follow a vision that you have? If you do by Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the vision that you have chosen for your life. If you don't by Allah, then what's going to end up happening is by Allah, you will end up following someone else's vision. And by Allah, already you are here today. If it's not because of your own vision, then because the vision of someone else that has the vision for you. So liberate yourselves, brothers and sisters in Islam. Liberate yourselves from being those people who do not have a vision for your life, but become those people that have a clear vision for your life. Do you know what's going to end up happening if you don't have a vision? Do you know what's going to end up happening, but you really have a desire to do something great in your life? What's going to end up happening is you're going to become like that person who misunderstands the difference between distance and displacement. What is distance and what is displacement? Displacement is the amount of distance that a object has moved from one position to another. So if, for example, these two things, okay, the amount of distance that separates the two is called displacement. Does that make sense, everybody? The two things, the amount of space. Now imagine this item. This thing is here. And it has moved up to here, up to here, up to here. Remember the brother was moving it here, and moving it here, moved it there, so no there. And then suddenly by some grace from Allah, Allah blessed him, and some angel told me, please put it here. Okay? So the distance that it has traveled is a lot, isn't it? But the displacement is very simple. Yes? So a taxi driver, if I were to give you now a more lively example, a taxi driver travels a lot. He has a huge distance that he covers every day. 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, but his displacement is zero. Why? Because he comes back to the same spot that he started in the morning. True? He leaves his house in the morning, takes his car, goes all the way to Putrajaya 10 times up and back, then comes home, and by Allah his displacement is zero, but his distance that he's traveled is 300 kilometers. Yes or no? So, to achieve something in our life, is distance important or displacement important? Displacement. We have to go from here to there. We have to go from here to there. We have to go from here to there. It is displacement that is important, not distance. How many of us convince ourselves by saying we have traveled so much, we have done so much? We convince ourselves of distance rather than displacement. And that is the great deception. So what's going to end up happening to all of you when you feel like doing something more in your life? You're going to speed up. If you have no clear vision, you're just going to speed up. So you look at your brother and say, oh my God, look at that organization or that brother in Islam, he's doing so much. That guy might have a vision, but you don't have a vision, so what do you end up doing? Quick, I've got to do it too. So you hurry up and do it. Then tomorrow you see the brother doing something else. Quick, I've got to do it too. You hurry up doing it. It's like you want to go from here, but you don't know you want to go there, so you end up doing everything possible, doing so much, hurrying up with your life, doing even more, until by some mercy from Allah you end up here. But if you increase that thread all the way till it became one single length, that amount of time and space and distance and money, whatever you spent, that could have taken you towards a huge, farther displacement than you could ever imagine. Correct? And this is precisely what happens when you have a clear vision. When you have a clear vision, you can achieve a lot more with a lot less resources. You can achieve a lot more with the limited time you have in this dunya. You can achieve a lot more with the limited money that you have in your pocket. You can achieve a lot more from the little life that you have in this world. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, my sincere, honest plea and request to all of you is to remember that our Prophet ﷺ was a great man, not because only 100,000 accepted Islam at his hands. If you look at it today, perhaps Ahmed Didat had more people accepting Islam at his hands than Rasulullah ﷺ had accepted at his hands at the time Rasulullah ﷺ died. How many Sahaba did Hajj at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ? 100,000. How many people now do Hajj? 2 million, 3 million. So if you looked at it objectively and said, what was the outcome? How much was the vision of Rasul? What did Rasulullah achieve in results-wise? Only 100,000. Whereas now the kings and queens of Saudi Arabia are achieving 2 million, 3 million Hajj with Hajj. You would think therefore that the kings and queens are better than Rasulullah ﷺ. No. But objectively speaking, a person is never ever judged by what they have achieved with their life. A person must be judged by what they want to achieve with their life. And this is why Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he says, and I end with this statement. He says in his Fatawa rahimahullah, he says, Al-Amma taqul qimatu kulli imrin fima yuhsin, wal-khassa taqul qimatu kulli imrin fima yatlub. This is the true value of human beings. What did he say? He said, the general lay people who don't know much, they say the value of every human being is in what they are good at doing. That's why we ask for CVs when we interview people. Show me what you've done in the past, we say. That's how we know the value of somebody. You know my value because of what you said. That's not how you should judge me at all. What the heck is what I've achieved got to do with what I will achieve in the future? So Ibn Taymiyyah says, whereas the special people, the people of true knowledge and basir and wisdom, they say the value of every human being is in what they want to achieve with their life. How much value do you have in your life? Ask yourself this question, and the answer is how great your vision will be for what you want to achieve with your life. Now, have you guys all decided what your vision is? Okay. No doubt, it's difficult. Talking about a vision is very difficult. It's very distressing actually. Because what you're telling someone is like, what the heck have you been doing? Just forget it. Stop doing what you're doing. Leave your job. Leave your family. Don't leave your family, but leave your job. Leave your work. Leave your studies. Leave this. Follow a different course. Do that. Do this. Change country. Perhaps change your path. Change your profession. It's very distressing. Very, very, very distressing, no doubt. But one thing is for sure, that whatever you want to do in your life, before doing comes knowledge. Correct? And by Allah, that is why you're all here today. You are all students of some knowledge or the other. And knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is Allah who has taught us how to read and write. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who taught us knowledge. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who decreed that knowledge be the means of saving this ummah and saving humanity. In fact, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salatu wassalam, the angels came to Allah and said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءِ? Are you going to put on this earth, O Allah, some creation that is going to spread fasad and fitna on this dunya and spill blood? What did Allah say? Allah said, I know what you don't know. Meaning what? I have a divine plan. So what was Allah's divine plan? وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. He taught Adam the names of all things. Ibn Abbas said that Allah gave Adam alayhi salatu wasalam from the knowledge that only Allah has. The knowledge which only Allah has. Knowledge was therefore the divine strategy for saving humanity. The divine strategy for saving humanity from destroying ourselves that the angels saw was in our nature was by Allah knowledge. If we become knowledgeable, if we have knowledge of Islam firstly, and then thereafter all the other branches of knowledge that Allah has given us, then by Allah will save humanity from us destroying ourselves. So knowledge is the means for us saving ourselves. And since you are all students of knowledge, irrespective of whatever path in your life you choose, whatever path it is, whatever that path is, before you act, knowledge must be the most important thing that you focus on. So I thought I would dedicate this session to motivate all of you about gaining knowledge. My brothers and sisters in Islam, each and every one of us assumes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. Each and every single one of us here assumes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us. We assume when we make tawbah, Allah is accepting our tawbah. We assume when we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually accepting our prayers. We assume that when we fast and do hajj, Allah is accepting it. The reality of the situation is, that's not true. The reality of the situation is that there is no real proof that Allah loves us except one proof. There is no real proof that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us except one proof, and one proof only. And what is that proof? مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. This is the only criteria. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah says in his fatwa, therefore, whoever Allah does not want good for, Allah does not give him fiqh of the religion. The necessary opposite is also true. The necessary corollary, the opposite of it is also true. Whoever Allah does not want good for, Allah will not give him fiqh of the religion. So ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question. Have you been increasing in Islamic knowledge every single day? If you have, then that was a day in which Allah wanted good for you. And if you did not increase in knowledge, then that was a day in which Allah did not want good for you. Of a surety Allah wants good for this little boy, alhamdulillah, that recited the Quran here. That's why Allah gave him knowledge and fiqh of this religion. Of a surety Allah must want some good for you all as well. And that is why Allah gave you the opportunity to come here today and learn and hear about some of the words that Allah has said and some of the words and the wisdom of the Prophet ﷺ. He must. If Allah doesn't want good for you, He would never have given you a chance to be here. This one you can take for a guarantee. If Allah did not love you for something, some good deed, perhaps the dua of your mom, or for something else that you've done, some good deed you've done for which Allah is now giving you an opportunity to learn about His deen, how could you have come here today? Allah will not share His knowledge with those people who are bad. Allah will only share His knowledge with those people that want to do good. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, rejoice in the fact that Allah wants good for you all. But let me tell you about the stories of the past, of the great scholars of the past, so that you may motivate yourself about gaining knowledge. Because each path that you choose for your life, whichever path you choose for your dunya, for your life, knowledge is an essential part of how you can get there. I'll give you the example of As-Saraqsi rahimahullah. This great Imam As-Saraqsi rahimahullah was a great Hanafi scholar who was unfortunately imprisoned in the bottom of a well for 12 years of his life. And he related a book, and he was imprisoned in the bottom of a well by the Khalifa, who was a very bad man at that time. So As-Saraqsi rahimahullah had given a fatwa that was against the judgment of the Khalifa at that time. So what did the Khalifa do? He imprisoned him in the bottom of the well. And for 12 years the Imam stayed there. According to some reports 10 years. But what was so great was that the passion was so amazing for knowledge, that As-Saraqsi from the bottom of the well, he used to recite Hanafi fiqh, and his students wrote it down, and they all compiled it into 23 volumes. 23 volumes, and the book was known as Al-Mabsut. And I remember when I was a student in the University of Medina, in my third year, when I had to do a research on a particular book of fiqh and take a section and try and correct it from any mistakes, I used to read Al-Mabsut, and Al-Mabsut is the book that I was allocated to. When I used to read the book al-Mabsut, after every section, it would say, and this has been related by Saraksi, the Imam, who has been imprisoned in the well, Mazluman by the Khalifa. Every section, go back and read it. Ya salam. Look at the passion and the dedication of our scholars of Islam. Amazing, wallahi. Amazing. And I give you the example of Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim, this great scholar of Islam. Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim was narrated in his story in Sir Alam al-Nubala that a beautiful young boy who was at the age of about 17 17-year-old teenager, who was a very, in his youth, he came to Medina and searched for Imam Malik. And when he found Imam Malik at that time, he said, "O Imam, afikum Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim? Is there Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim amongst you?" So the Imam said, "Yes, this is Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim." So the boy, who was 17 years old, went and hugged Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim, who was the main student of Imam Malik, and hugged him and kissed him and said, "Oh my father, I'm your son." So everyone was amazed. They didn't know Abdurrahman bin al-Qasim was even married. Is this an illegitimate child? What's going on? Then Abdurrahman says, 17 years ago, I made up my mind that I was going to gain knowledge. And I was married at that time. And I had no children. And I found out my wife was pregnant. So I gave my wife a choice. Either you come with me to Medina, or I divorce you, or you stay here and you deliver the child and you look after the child. So she chose the last option. So for 17 years I could not go back and see my son. 17 years he could not do that. Why? Because he was so busy gaining knowledge by Allah. Have we not come today? Are we not this proud ummah because of what these giants have done, my brothers and sisters in Islam? Let me tell you about what the scholars have said regarding how far they traveled in search of knowledge. Ibn Aqil said, I traveled for 40 years of my life, 5,000 miles of it on my feet in search of knowledge. Al-Makhul, he said, I circled the earth, the known earth at that time, I circled it again and again in search of knowledge. How far have you traveled seeking knowledge? How far do you plan to seek knowledge? How far do you plan to travel seeking knowledge? What is the greatest happiness that we get, my brothers and sisters in Islam? Is it money or a gift? Or is it knowledge? Let me tell you the example of Al-Nasafi rahimahullah. Imam Al-Nasafi rahimahullah had 19 children. 19 children, it was reported that he was a very poor man. So in one of the Eid, one of the times of the night before Eid, this is the Eid al-Fitr time, and tomorrow is Eid, today was the last day of Ramadan. So Al-Nasafi rahimahullah goes back home. His wife tells him, "Oh Nasafi," obviously wives don't call their sheikhs, their husbands by sheikh or imam. "Yeah Nasafi," "Yeah Abdurrahman," of course. So Abdurrahman, there is no money. We have no money. And tomorrow is Eid, and the 19 children need something new. Something, at least a gift or a present. So Nasafi says what? Listen to this. And Nasafi says, inshallah, inshallah, will come, inshallah. So what does he do? He is so absorbed in his books that he goes back to his books. And he's studying all night, studying all night. Then at Fajr time, before the adhan could be given, Nasafi comes out running out of his house. He does what? He comes out running out of his house. And he says, "Where are the kings? Where are the queens? Come, I've got something to tell you." And so his wife runs out. And his children run out. So what happened? Did some money come secretly from Allah? What happened? He said, no. Something, there was a mas'ala in fiqh that I was struggling for the last 20 years. I finally found the answer. I was the happiest man on this earth. What a present from Allah. Majnoon. Majnoon about knowledge. That's right. Majnoon about knowledge. This is how our scholars work. Knowledge is the most precious thing. It was reported that Abu Yusuf, rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah, on his deathbed, he turned toward Muhammed al-Shaybani The other student, the great student of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he turned towards him and he said, in pain, he said, Ya Muhammad, what was the statement of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah? Is it better to pelt stones, pelt the 3 jamarat standing, or riding a beast? Which one was a better one? Ayyuhum afdal? And Muhammad al-Shaybani said, you are dying. He said, yeah, but I just needed to be clear on this point. Amazing. Amazing. Our scholars were tremendously focused on knowledge by Allah. They loved knowledge so much. It was reported that Abu Zur'a, radiyallahu anhu, rahimahullah, he used to memorize 200,000 hadith. And he went to Abdullah, who was the son of Imam Ahmed, and he said, Ya Abdullah, I read with your father 10 million hadith, and I heard your father recite to me from his memory 1 million of them. Amazing. Amazing people with knowledge. Amazing people with knowledge, ya salam. My brothers and sisters in Islam, we are an ummah of hafad. We are an ummah of hafad. We are an ummah of scholars. We are an ummah of scholarship. We are an ummah of knowledge or we are nothing. We are an ummah of knowledge by Allah or we are nothing. The greatest miracle Allah gave us was the Quran, a book to be read. The first word that was revealed was Iqra, to be read. The greatest miracle is a book to be read. By Allah, this ummah is knowledge or it is nothing else. My brothers and sisters in Islam, it is reported, and I recite to you and I tell you what some of the other great scholars did regarding knowledge. It was reported from Na'im al-Mujmir, who was a great student of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who said that I sat with Abu Hurairah for 20 years not missing a single class. I sat with Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu for 20 years seeking knowledge, not missing a single class. I was reported that Jalil said that I sat with Al-Hasan for 7 years not missing a single day, not even the day of Eid. I would sit with my teacher every single day, gaining knowledge, not even missing a single day for Eid. It was reported that Imam Malik rahimahullah sought knowledge for 36 years. Every single day after Fajr he would leave his house and he would seek knowledge until Maghrib time. Every single day. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was asked, Ya Ibn Abbas, you were a young boy when Rasulullah passed away. How did you become Bahrul Ilm? How did you become Bahrul Ilm when you was a young boy when the Prophet passed away? How? He said, بِلِسَانٍ سَعُولٍ وَبِقَلْبٍ عَقُولٍ, by a questioning tongue and with a logical and an attentive mind. Then he said that I used to wait outside the houses of the greatest of the Sahaba at the depths of the night. What time were Ibn Abbas? At 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, I would wait outside their house, waiting for that instant when they would wake up and come out of the house to make wudu for the tahajjud prayer, and I would catch them at that point and ask them a question. Can you imagine that? At 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. Can you imagine that? Subhanallah, this is how knowledge is gained. This is how knowledge is gained. This is how knowledge is gained. I remember our Shaykh, may Allah have mercy upon him, our Shaykh used to call us, Shaykh Ahmed bin Rashid al-Ruhaili. He called me once at 2 a.m. in the morning. Listen to this. He called me at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I answered the phone in a very sleepy voice because I was asleep at that time. Logical people asleep at that time, right? It's okay to sleep at that time. Yeah? Unless you're depressed, right? Or you're praying tahajjud. So he picked up the phone and I answered in a very sleepy way. So what did he say? He told me, are you asleep, Tawfiq? I still remember. Huh? I was until you called me, ya Shaykh. So he said, it does not befit a student of knowledge to sleep at this time of the night. He should either be studying or praying. And then he kept the phone down. I still remember it. To this day, by Allah. Do you know why, my brothers and sisters in Islam? Because knowledge is the most precious thing Allah has given us. Knowledge is the most precious thing Allah has given us. من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له طريقا إلى الجنة وأن الملائكة لتضع أجنحتها لطالب علم رضا بما يصنع وأن كل شيء في الأرض والسماء حتى الحيتان في الماء ليستغفر لطالب علم ليستغفر لعالم الخير لمعلم الناس الخير وأن العلماء ورثة الأنبياء وأنهم لم يورثوا دينارا ولا درهما وإنما ورثوا العلم فمن أخذها أخذ بحظ وافر. Verily he who seeks a path to knowledge, Allah will make his path to Jannah easy for him. And indeed the angels humble their wings around the student of knowledge in happiness with what they are learning. And indeed every single thing in the oceans and on this earth, until even the fish in the oceans make dua to Allah for those people who teach people good and the student of knowledge. And indeed the scholars are the inheritors of the prophets, and the prophets did not leave behind dinar or dirham, they left behind knowledge. So whoever takes it takes a huge treasure. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, with this authentic hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ in Abu Dawood, this is the reason why we seek knowledge, so that we become from the people that Allah has blessed. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-dunya mal'oon, wa mal'oonun ma fiha." The dunya has been cursed, and every single thing in it has been cursed, except for the remembrance of Allah and the teacher of Islam, or the teacher of good knowledge, and the student of knowledge. So be either one of the two people. Be a teacher or be a student. Otherwise you are cursed. And every single thing in this dunya is cursed. And this hadith is authentic, it's in Sahih Muslim and others. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, how do we seek knowledge? What do we do to seek knowledge? Some of us may be really intelligent people. Like it was reported about Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that he could read 4 mujalladat, 4 fat volumes between Asr and Maghrib. 4 volumes in Asr and Maghrib. Amazing. Amazing. I know of mashayikh and scholars who can also read 4 volumes but not in Asr and Maghrib in a whole day, which is not bad too. It's about 300-400 pages, you know. Speed reading is still difficult. It's difficult, and this is, they're reading it whilst pondering and thinking and absorbing and remembering. So it's amazing by Allah. It is reported that An-Nawawi rahimahullah had 12 classes in a day, and he had 3 more. And he had 3 more, meaning 12 plus 3. Why was it called plus 3? Because he had 12 classes when he was sitting in his masjid teaching, and he had 3 others when he was going between his house and his masjid. When he was going to his house and masjid, I remember my friend in university, he used to be a reciter for Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah in his class in his masjid. He used to say, Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah used to ask us to not waste time, so much so that even when he went to the bathroom, he used to make us read from Fathul Bari. He said he was in the toilet and I used to read from Fathul Bari, so that he wouldn't waste that time. Even the toilet time, at least he's hearing something, not talking. There's nothing wrong with hearing, right? And when you're in the bathroom, the only prohibition is talking. Can you imagine people of ulul himma regarding knowledge, people of highness of aspiration regarding knowledge? Amazing, wallahi. Amazing, truly amazing. So therefore, the ultimate question is, how do we gain knowledge? Whatever knowledge it is, by a very simple principle and a very simple poem, and that is the poem of Ash-Shafi'i rahimahullah. It is written on our Kulliyat al-Hadith, in our College of Hadith in the University of Medina. If someone walks into the College of Hadith, he will find a plaster over it. I read it so many times, it's crazy, until it became like Fatiha. What did Ash-Shafi'i rahimahullah say? He said, Akhi, my brother, لن تنالوا العلم إلا بستة سأنبئك عن تفصيلها ببيان. Oh my brother and sister, you cannot ever gain knowledge except by 6 things. I will explain them to you in detail. So what are these 6 things? He said, الذكاء والحرص واجتهاد والبلغة والصحبة أستاذ وطول زمان. That's it. He said what? الذكاء والحرص واجتهاد والبلغة وصحبة أستاذ وطول زمان. 6 things. What are the 6 things by which every single one of us, and take this as our lesson for today, what are the 6 things that we all over here need to equip ourselves with so that we can go back and gain knowledge properly for the rest of our lives? Right? What are the 6 things? First is dhaka, intelligence. Are you intelligent? Of course you are. You're in university. You finished your year 12 in your high school. Obviously you're intelligent people. You are the better half of the humanity. The other people that cannot go to university are better than them. Academically, intelligence-wise, right? You are. And you've proven that by you actually being here today. But what Ash-Shafi'i rahimahullah means by dhaka is not simply that you're intelligent, because Allah has endowed many people with lots of different types of intelligence. What it means is that you spend those times when you are intelligent and the presence of mind and sharpness of your mind to study knowledge at that time. Meaning what? Meaning at 10 p.m. at night when you are drowsy and you are dozing off to sleep, that is not the time to pick up Fathul Bari and Bukhari and read a hadith somehow with some mercy from Allah and then go back to sleep and say alhamdulillah, gain knowledge. That's not the time to read. That's the time to sleep. That's the time to read about Jannah. Dreaming about Jannah, you know. That's the time to read about something nice, some stories and whatever else. That's not the time to gain serious knowledge. Serious knowledge is when you are sharp and presence and your presence of mind. When you have your full intelligence with you. Does that make sense? And that's what Shafi'i rahimahullah means by dhaka. First, intelligence, which is you spend your time gaining knowledge when you have the most attentive mind. And also when you are sharper, meaning early years, rather than when you become older. So because when you become older, the gaining knowledge is already difficult. Mind can't concentrate. It's difficult to gain knowledge. I'm already feeling it now. Can't concentrate these days. Not like I used to be able to concentrate 10 years ago. Isn't that right, everyone? Absolutely. And so this is the time to gain knowledge when you're young. This is the time to gain knowledge, not write books. This is the time to gain knowledge and to read the books before you write them, inshallah, when you become old enough and you become mature enough. So first is dhaka. Then he says, al-hirs. What is hirs? Absolute dedication and focus. You are students, this is your time to study. If you have a vision and you know what you want to do with your life, then there's 2 reasons you should be here today in this university, studying whatever you're studying. Akhi, what are you studying? What is it? What do you study here? Okay, you're in school. How about you, Akhi? What do you study here? Do you study here? What do you study, Akhi? In? PhD in fiqh. How about you, Akhi? What are you doing? Sorry, high school. Okay, I think I'm asking wrong people here. Who studied in this university, guys? Okay, so what are you studying? Ahsan. Okay, accounting. Now, is this the vision of your life? You want to meet Allah saying, I'm the greatest accountant, Ya Rabbi. I studied accounting for your sake, so that I can correct the books of every single person out there? Is this your vision? I suspect not. Or it could be, by the way, sorry. Is this your vision, by the way, Akhi? No. Okay. The way that you answered shows perhaps it's not your vision. So the point I'm trying to make is what you're doing now should either be your vision or should be the tool to achieve your vision. The tool to achieve your vision, right? For the vast majority of us, probably is the tool. Okay? For the vast majority of us, probably is the tool. Let me give you an example. For me, I studied Islam. That was my vision. That's my passion. That's my purpose. That's everything about me. Right? But then I studied medicine. Why did I do that? Because medicine was a tool and a means. How was it a tool and means? Because the general people think I'm knowledgeable about Islam just because I'm a medical doctor. True or not? How many doors open up for dawah because I'm a medical doctor? True or not? I can now also earn income by being a medical doctor, true or not? My patients, when I'm giving them medicine, if I tell them also an Islamic thing, will they not listen? Of course they will, because doctors are given that status in society. True or not? So for me, it's a tool, is it not so? So should I be studying medicine as well? Of course, because I need tools to be able to achieve my vision. So just because something may not be a vision, it might be a tools, a means towards achieving your vision. Does that make sense, I think? Because we all need that as well. And that is why my advice to you is to not leave what you're doing. You could still make it a tool to achieve your vision, but be clear that it is a tool. Be clear in your mind that this is not your vision of your life. Someone might be doing ICT. For example, the brother who mentioned there who was doing ICT. Perhaps ICT is what you want to do. It's a vision of your life. You want to help the Muslim Ummah through ICT. I want to be the best ICT guy and best ICT guru out there. Fine, perhaps that's your vision. But it might be that that is not your vision, but that is the means through which you want to help the Ummah. Or that is the means through which you want to achieve your vision, which might be through something else. And this is how you want to see all of these things. So focus. What does focus mean? Meaning you have to focus on gaining knowledge. You can't do too many things at the same time. You can't multitask. Multitasking is a myth. Multitasking is a myth. It doesn't exist. Our human being, our human minds are not programmed to think like that. And sisters, when they try to multitask, they struggle and they fail. That's why they're stressed. Because our human minds are made to think in parallel, in serial, not in parallel. So my brothers and sisters Islam, and the corpus callosum of sisters is actually bigger than the corpus callosum of men. What is the corpus callosum? It's basically an organ in your body that allows multitasking. So sisters are actually more able to do so, even though they seem to be able to do it better, still human beings are not made to do that. We are made to do one thing, and if we focus on it, then we excel in it. If we don't focus on it, we can't. So if you want to be a good student, and you must want to be a good student, because Allah wants that, Allah wants excellence in whatever we do, then you must focus. The second advice of Shafi'i is focus. The third advice is ijtihad, hard work. You cannot gain knowledge without hard work. Hard work, bro. It is very hard work getting knowledge. Exams, a'udhu billah, exams. Alhamdulillah, I don't have to do exams anymore. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Exams, hard work. Has anyone ever sat for medical final exams? Is there medical doctors here? Any medical students here? No. Then you have no idea what I'm talking about. Medical final exams are the most disastrous things human beings have ever created to torture others. Disastrous. Hard work. You can't gain knowledge without hard work. In Medina, our real classes after university, our real classes used to start after Asr time. Very hot. Waking up after the Qayruna and waking up for Asr and then going for classes until Isha time and then coming home and studying for 2 hours and then having food with your family and then going to sleep, waking up for Fajr and then Fajr right away going to university and then university coming back at 1 o'clock and then spending time with your wife and having some food until 2:30, going to sleep till 3:30 and then going up again and the whole cycle again going every day. For 6 years it's tough life. Yeah, it's tough. On average, I would spend approximately 12 hours to 14 hours studying every day. Very tough. Because you can't study at the university only. University studies is just some Islam. You really have to study at the feet of the scholars outside the university. That's where the real knowledge is. And Allah is tough. And that's why knowledge cannot be gained with the bed of roses. You must struggle hard. It is difficult. It's hard work, but you must put in the hard work. It is just part and parcel of gaining knowledge. Then the fourth advice, what did he say? First he said dhakat, intelligence. Then he said hifz, focus. Then he said ijtihad, hard work. And then he said bulgha. What is bulgha? Fulus. Money. So it's practical advice, isn't it? You need money to gain knowledge. Don't fool yourself and say Islam comes for free. It doesn't. It doesn't. You are spending your time here. Time is money. Someone is having to pay for this hall, Someone is having to pay for the lights and the electricity. You are here, so you can't now earn money. So obviously you're spending money whilst you're here. You're now going to go back and eat food. That needs money. Your books that you're studying, that needs money. University fees need money. The sheikh doesn't live in your house. He lives somewhere else. You're going to have to buy a car and go to his house. That needs money, doesn't it? It all needs money, so don't fool yourselves. Don't fool yourselves into thinking that I'm going to gain knowledge without money. That's fallacy. That's a false idea. You need money, and you need more money, and after that you need more money if you want to gain knowledge. So you're going to always have to set aside money. You're going to always have to budget for gaining knowledge. Knowledge will never come free. And that's why most people don't gain knowledge these days, because they say Islamic knowledge is free. The only verse they remember in the Quran is قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ. Say, I don't ask you for any money for this. No, everything requires money. Everything requires money. Our scholars, when they used to buy pens, it was reported that Sufyan al-Thawri, rahimahullah, he used to, every time he needed pens, he would cut open a part of his roof and go and sell it as scrap metal. He would cut open a part of his patched roof, okay, which was metal at that time. He would cut open and he would go and sell it and say, please, can I buy some pen and ink? With the money. You need money to gain knowledge. Otherwise you cannot ever gain knowledge. So don't be foolish and think I don't need money. You do need money, and money is an essential part of gaining knowledge. Make sure you spend it to get the best knowledge and the best education you can. Then Shafi rahimahullah continued and he said, what? Suhbatu ustadin, the fifth advice, is long companionship of a teacher. You need a teacher. You can't get knowledge from Google. You can't get knowledge from books. You can't get knowledge from tapes. You can't get knowledge from fatwa websites. You need a teacher to teach you knowledge. You need a teacher to teach you knowledge. But Allah, 1 hour with our teachers and our professors in Medina sometimes would equal 200 hours of reading a book. Yeah? Isn't it true? Sometimes like that, isn't it? Especially the more specialized the topic becomes, the more you need a teacher. The more specialized it becomes, the more value of a teacher you feel. And by Allah, in medicine we used to find, if I missed a class, let's say on cardiology or on acute myocardial syndrome, etc., one class that I missed, it would take me at least 20 hours of reading to just get the same knowledge that the teacher had given in class. So you need a teacher. But how many mistakes am I making by Allah? How many times am I reading and perhaps I might kill a patient? Because I'm just treating the patient based on a book. You can't do that. You have to learn from a teacher. So a teacher is really, really critical. Seek out the best places to learn. Seek out where the best professors are. Seek out where the best teachers are. Find the best teachers. Those who fear Allah, those who love teaching. And not every single person of knowledge is a good teacher. I used to prefer those teachers that had less knowledge but could teach better. Because by Allah they gave me more time. They could answer my questions more. And they could give me what I needed. And they were better murabbis, and sometimes people who are more knowledgeable had less knowledge. And then Shafi rahimahullah concluded, and he said, the last and final sixth thing that you need to gain knowledge is tulu zamani. You need a long time to gain knowledge. You can't gain knowledge in just one day, or one lecture, or 1 year. It needs a long duration. Shaykh Shaqiqi hafidhahullah, he said in one of his classes in our university, he said, I used to tell my students that you need about 2 years to master Aqidah and you need 8 years to master fiqh. So it takes years of knowledge to gain knowledge about the most basic things. And the statement of Sufyan al-Thawri is very, very true. إِذَا أَتَيْتَ الْعِلْمَ كُلَّ يَأْتِيكَ بَعْدَكَ. If you give all of yourself to knowledge, only some of it comes to you. Right? And this is really important. So let's end by revising these 6 things again. What are they? And these are the 6 points I want you to take back from this. Inshallah, if there's nothing else you do, you take back this. What is it? What is it? Intelligence. Gain knowledge now whilst you're still intelligent. Okay? And when your mind is sharp. Number 2 is focus. You've got to focus. You have to focus. Don't try and do too many things now. Don't try and do dawah now. Our Shaykh used to say, when I used to come back from Medina, he said, Tawfiq, Iyaka wa Iyaka min ad-dawah. "Yeah, Sheikh, I'm going back to Australia, can't I give a da'wah or lecture and two?" No. He used to tell me, "No, no da'wah for you." Why? So because you are now gaining knowledge, focus on knowledge. Don't focus on doing too many things. You will save the dunya, but after you finish, not now. After you gain knowledge. So for the first few years I never used to do any talks. It's only in the last 2 years that I actually started to give lectures. It's very important to realize, don't try to do too much, focus. Number 3 is ijtihad, hard work. Right, everybody? Work very hard. Put your time and your effort and your money and your heart and soul into gaining this knowledge. Be the best that you can. And remember, this knowledge is from Allah, and for every knowledge Allah will raise you into levels. Then, the 4th advice is, money. You need money. So save up money. Find sources of money. So you can fund your education, buy better books, study in a better university, go to a place where there are better teachers. Number 5, what is it? Finding a good teacher, a good place to study, extremely important. And the last advice is, through zamani, then for a long duration of study. You've got to study for a long duration of time. Not just here, not just there. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open up your minds and give you great visions and make you of those people that achieve greatness. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make these beautiful people here in front of me, people who excel and do excellent things with their lives, and who fulfill the dream of Muhammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam by making this ummah the greatest and the best ummah out there. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you all excellence in your lives and to give you all fulfilling lives, so that you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the last day and you're happy in your heart and Allah is happy with you, and by Allah you enter Jannah in peace and serenity. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our brothers and sisters who held this beautiful event, and mashallah they've done a great job. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them, forgive their parents, enter them into Jannah hand in hand. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this beautiful university, keep it strong, guide it towards uprightness, to help its students and to uphold Islamic values that it was built upon. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all into Jannah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This audio is brought to you by Muslim Central. Please consider donating to help cover our running costs and future projects by visiting www.muslimcentral.com/donate.